Hey, everybody, welcome to the Pod Briefing. My name is Zorexia. We turn podcasts into leads. We're live on YouTube right now, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Today we're going to break down 3 podcasts that are doing it right, specifically looking at their thumbnails, titles, show notes, CTAs, and why those actually drive results. So, thanks for joining again, and let me move on to the screen here where we can do a screen share and talk about these podcasts. So we're looking at Stack Overflow, HubSpot, and Morgan Stanley. And I have them here on a tab. Hopefully you guys can see that. So I have Stack Overflow, HubSpot, and we have Morgan Stanley. So there are 3 different brands for sure, but they are doing a few things very well. If you want your podcast reviewed live, drop it in the comments, and we're doing this daily along with other content, interviews. So let's get started. So most people think that podcast success is about a conversation, but what actually drives and grows leads is everything around the episode. So your thumbnail gets a click, your title creates curiosity, and your show notes build trust, and your CTA converts. So they all work together. So again, I want to say that one more time. Your thumbnail gets the click, your title creates curiosity, your show notes build trust, and your CTA converts. So let's break down how these brands are doing it. Number one, let's start with Stack Overflow. So what it is, this is a great example of a podcast built around a niche audience. So developers, engineers, technical professionals, and they do have a very clean YouTube page that you can see here. So I do like the cover, the cover on top. They have a great logo, and they have lots of text here, obviously, and all of their links to all their different services. So yeah, it's a great page, and they also have something highlighted in the front in the top here. So what they do really well is speaking directly to their audience, right? Their titles are very specific. Overflow AI, Stack Overflow for VS Code, Overflow AI, enhanced search. So very technical and very topic specific. Often centered around real problems, trends, or tools developers care about. Their thumbnails are simple but relevant. I do love the thumbnails of folks here on the podcast. It's very inviting, and you can see here that in the podcast they choose thumbnails purposely with emotion. Right? She's smiling. This one in the middle here. The guys are all laughing and smiling because we really don't want to click on links and podcasts that have people like frowning, right? So emotion is really important. You're going to see a lot of this in a lot of the podcasts that we review. But the number one thing is choosing a photo of the podcaster or yourself that's smiling, that shows emotion. So it looks really great. Thumbnails are simple, relevant. Obviously, they're not trying to over design here, so they just have literally like a bubble talking, and they have photos of everybody in the podcast. So it's very good. They do a very good job. Um, Now, why this works? It's because they understand their audience. Developers don't want fluff; they want insight, they want relevance, and practical value. So instead of trying to go deep so instead of trying to go broad, they go deep. And that builds trust within a very valuable niche. Now, if we click on one of their podcasts here, and it seems that their podcast is a little bit old, you click on one of the podcasts.
This is very.
And let's look at the show notes. The show notes here. Their show notes usually add context, right? So there is obviously context about the podcast, and the links and tools and references that extend the conversation. So their CTAs are very subtle. I think they had another video here with some CTAs, but they're very subtle here. So let's see if there's any CTAs here. Yeah, I actually don't see any CTAs whatsoever. So something that I would recommend is adding a call to action in all of their podcast episodes. This is more of an interview at an event. But if we go back to their podcast, let's see if there's a CTA here.
Most of the time.
I would certainly add a CTA. And what that would include, it would be like subscribe to our podcast. Obviously, you can click on that or check out our website. or purchase our product, or maybe you have a deal or a special. But I would add something here, and and obviously this is probably done on purpose. They're a big enough company to really know what they're doing, but they're not pushing hard sales. They're keeping their user inside the Stack Overflow ecosystem. So if you are targeting a specific niche, this is a great model. Speak directly to your audience, be specific with your titles, and focus on delivering great value. And again, they are delivering a lot of technical value here, as you can see. And we can click on their videos here, and there's just a lot of information as well. So, okay, so here's more of the podcast episodes. And this was recorded 3 weeks ago. Let's see if there's CTAs. So, yeah, lots of CTAs here, and this is what I was looking for. Download or subscribe. Check out their Apple Podcast link, their Spotify link, Overcast. So yeah, so very good CTAs here, because this is sort of like a circle. So people read this, they watch the podcast, and they subscribe, and that hopefully in turn turns into more subscribers, more listeners, and leads, and at the end of this sale. So again, they do a great job here, and let's check out some of their video here. And so it's a remote video. Yeah, looks great. So, okay, so let's move on to HubSpot. HubSpot obviously is a marketing company, very different approach. This is more marketing driven and growth focused content. So what they do really well here is, if you look at it, the thumbnails are amazing. It's a marketing company, and they know that you have just a few seconds to grab your audience. So when someone's scrolling, you have to click on it right away. Otherwise, or you have to capture the audience right away. Otherwise, they're just going to keep scrolling and not even not even look at your content. So, all right. So what they do well. So HubSpot does a great job with titles. They are very benefit driven. They're often tied to a specific outcome or problem, and their thumbnails are more engaging. They're designed to stop the scroll, stop the scroll. That's what you want. So you want someone to stop scrolling and click on your podcast episode. Um, and why this works, they're balancing education with attention. They understand that if you don't get the click, nothing else matters. Again, if no one clicks on your podcast or your video, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Your views do not go up. So they do a great job with their thumbnails. I like this thumbnail here. And the common theme of all the thumbnails you see with great shows is that it's people with emotion, right? Emotion, whether it's good or whether it's bad. He's frowning and she's smiling. Maybe there's some tension here in the podcast, but it looks great here. So lots of emotion in their podcast thumbnails. Now, if we click on the actual podcast here, we can look at their show notes, and they do have chapters, which is great. You should always have chapters, and they do have a lot of call to actions there. So their CTAs are much stronger. They're clearly tied to tools, or certification courses. So this is the digital marketing certification. This is a social media course. This is an SEO training course. So they know what they're doing, and they're probably tracking all of this. I think this might be a lot of links, too many links, but they probably are tracking every click. So if I click on this, they probably know that that people are clicking on these links, so therefore we should keep it in here. And people are clicking on it, and therefore maybe converting into leads and ultimately clients at the end. So there's probably some science behind this that they've done with their own audience, and that's why they keep these links here. So yeah, and if you want to if you want your podcast to generate leads, this is a strong model. Clearer hooks, stronger CTAs, and the content is directly tied to outcomes, right? So the outcome here is how to build a killer brand style using AI. And we didn't really talk about their titles that much, but yeah, so very, very specific on how to master LinkedIn ads, how to build a multi-channel content engine that actually, and it keeps going, but I would make that one a little bit shorter. But you get the drift. They're very specific, very targeted, and directly tied to outcomes. So yeah, I think they do a very good job. They have a lot of subscribers, 606K subscribers, lots of subscribers, and also lots of views for sure. And let's just for kicks, let's just see Their highest viewing episode, 2.6 million views. So that's huge. And this is probably a video. They probably promote these videos too. You know, in YouTube, you can pay some money to promote some of these episodes. So maybe they do that, or maybe this has been around for a long time. Yeah, 5 years. So in 5 years, they collected 2.6 million views. So that's great. Okay, and now let's move into our last podcast. And this is Morgan Stanley. So it's a totally different style, obviously different business. But I do like the top here, the cover. It's very clean. There's a contrast. I like the background here of obviously New York City, and they have a very good logo here that really stands out. So very easy to read. Lots of good content here in the description, and they have all relevant links, right? So, you know, probably X is really relevant to them. LinkedIn, obviously, probably not TikTok or Instagram, but I would just put anything that's relevant to your business there. So, now moving on to their podcast, just looking at it here, they do a great job making complex topics more accessible through their titles. Now, if you look at their titles, they are specifically, it looks like they're specifically short, right? Very short. Now, they do a great job with their thumbnails. They are clean thumbnails, right? So they have a topic and they have two folks talking, and then they have the name of the podcast. So they do a really good job with their thumbnails. They're uniform and they look great. This is probably like the first episode, maybe. But yeah, so they do a good job there, and I think they have another podcast too. But this is what I see here. Maybe it's this one right here. No, but yeah. So their thumbnails are clean, modern, polished, and they just do a good job with their titles too. So what they're trying to do here is they're trying to bridge authority and accessibility, which is powerful because it expands their audience without losing credibility. Now, if we let's look at their show notes and their CTAs. They look very shorter and looks very intentional. So they're not very many CTAs here, and probably that's not what they're going for. They're not going for selling anything here on their podcast. They're probably just looking to build more authority and connect with their audience more. So this is great too. And if you're in a technical or complex industry, this is a great model. Simplify your messaging without dumbing it down. So they do a great job as well. Okay, so now that we have looked at these three, just to wrap up, I'll mention a couple of things. Now, if you look at these three podcasts, they do a few things consistently well. Number one, they have clear audience targeting. They know their audience. And number two, they have intentional titles and thumbnails. And they have an alignment between content and business goals. And that's the difference between podcasts that just exist and podcasts that actually drive business. Now, if you want your podcast reviewed on the pod briefing, drop it below or send it over. And if you're trying to turn your podcast leads into leads, that's exactly what we help at Hello Studios. Check out our website below and set up a consultation if you want to talk strategy or how we can build your brand with a podcast. Again, my name is Zorexia. This is the pod briefing. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.